Now with some light on the situation, you can really see how this is all working. Each valve lifter, also called buckets, you see how the cam lobes ride on each bucket? Now remember, this is a dual overhead cam, 16 valve. So each cylinder has 4 valves. Now these feeler gauges are laser etched. There. You see this is 0.007 inches or 0.178 millimeters, right? So we just picked this one at random, 0.007 inches. And we're just going to stick it in there and get a feel, just to see what it is, just to see what it feels like. Either it's going to be too loose or too tight at 0.007. What you want to feel is a little bit of drag. You don't want it to be so loose that it just, you know, easily goes in there. You don't want it to be too tight to where you have to force it out. You want to be able to stick it in there and feel some drag. And that actually feels about right. Lucky guess, guys. So the first one is probably 0.007. I'm gonna go get a pen and paper, and we'll go ahead and start getting our measurements, get our calculations, and go from there. Alright guys, so here's the method behind the madness. Pretty simple chart. You gotta be able to keep track of this stuff, keep it all separated, right? I got this model out of the service manual. Alright, so anyways, we got cylinder 1 complete. This is our tolerance for the exhaust side, the intake side. The only one that's out of spec, and it's just a smidge out of spec, is this very first exhaust valve. You see, you round that up, it's 0.23. Well, 0.23 is the tolerance. I mean 0.229 though, guys, right? So it's actually not even 0.23, so that one's too tight. We're gonna have to open that one up. We'll aim for around the middle of this range here. This guy is, you know, that's 0.28. That's within spec. I'm happy with that. 0.179 on both of these on the intake side, and 0.179 is right in there. Right about perfect. These aren't worn at all, really. They're right in spec. So now to do cylinder number 2. And remember guys, we're gonna go 180 degrees. So there's our timing mark, lined up with the timing case mark. We're gonna go 180 right there. About right there. See, there's our timing mark. 180 degrees from the case mark. And as you can see, cylinder number 2, which is this guy, the lobe is facing that way, this lobe facing that way, top dead center. There you go. So we got to get the measurements for both exhausts and both intake on cylinder 2. Now I did figure out a very good methodology with these feeler gauges. So come to find out, it's pretty cut and dry, guys, because if one doesn't fit, you step down. If that one doesn't fit, step down again. You always start big, and as you step down, as soon as one fits, that's the guy. That's pretty much the way I'm doing this. And then I'll go back another step up again to double check, and if it doesn't go in, I step back down a size and it goes in. That's your measurement. That is your clearance. And that's how I'm coming up with those numbers that I'm recording up there. Alright, cylinder 2 is done. The intake side is the exact same spec as cylinder 1. However, the exhaust side is out of spec. Our spec is 0.23 at the tightest end. It is 0.203 or 0.200 when you round down. Both of these valves are considerably tighter than spec, and so our cold idle problem, cylinder number 2 on the exhaust side is contributing to that, probably significantly. And we simply bring it all the way back around. That made 360. So we're 180. Now it's going to be cylinder 4. And to verify, there you go. Look at the lobes on cylinder 4. They are out. Top dead center. Uh-oh. That can round down, but I think we're going to go ahead and pick a different shim, because I don't like the fact that in print it is out of spec, even if you round down. So we're gonna step down in shim size and close. We're gonna close the gap on that first intake valve on cylinder 4. All right, one more, guys. Okay. Final 180 degree. That's about it. Close enough. Confirmed. Cylinder number 3, lobes facing out. Alright guys, so here we go. Cylinder 3 is done. We got one exhaust valve too tight and one intake valve too loose. I've also gone ahead and highlighted all of the ones that are out of specification, even though they're just barely out of spec. I mean, that's technically 0.20, but I still want to bring this down to more of the intermediate value in this range, just for longevity's sake, right guys? So this should give you an idea of what you're looking at with your FZ6R. 58,000 miles, valves never checked, finally checked, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 16 valves are out of spec. So roughly half, right? About half of the valves are out of spec. So I don't know, man. You know, that pretty much explains our idling problem when it's cold, and the fact that the idle is very low even on first crank up when it's warm outside, you know. So either way you look at it, she has idling issues. It's just not quite right. So yeah, 58,000 miles, again, 7 valves out of spec. Alright guys, so the next step obviously is we want to decide or determine what size shims we've got to put in these underneath these 7 lifters. So to do that, we're gonna have to go ahead and remove the cams, and we know we've got to do that because you back up here all the way back to where we were getting our clearances. There's the next step. 5, remove camshafts. Got to come out. So refer to camshafts. Have my handy little tab here. Organization is key, folks. Hey, by the way, all these blowout diagrams we're gonna have to reference, you see, because this is the only place it mentions various things, applying Yamaha, things like that. So we'll be coming back to that. We'll also be coming back to this. This tells you where to apply your assembly lube and different things. Anyways, removing the camshaft, step 1. You want the pickup rotor cover removed. We've already done that, obviously. We want it at top dead center. I've already done that. We are here. Loosen camshaft sprocket bolts. Well, a little bit of, actually I grabbed it on the first try. It's a 10. Pure luck, 10 millimeter. Now the thing about it is, you can't get to all the bolts, guys. I find that curious because, alright, so there's 2 bolts on each sprocket. And I find that curious because it tells you to put it at top dead center before you loosen these bolts. Now, that doesn't make any sense because you can't get to all 4 bolts while the engine sits at top dead center. It would require turning the engine, so or turning the crank there. So I am going to reach with this little tin, that one, and that one, and we'll just deal with it that way. We'll just loosen one on each of them. So, without further ado, I don't know how I'm gonna get this shot, guys. I'm doing it one-handed. Oh yeah, that is tight as balls, guys. Wow. Let's try the other one. Oh, just for the sake of angle here. I just do not have a lot of room to work. I can't even get the wrench on that one. Maybe the box side. Alright, I had to put the camera down to get a good bite, a correct bite on this thing, but I did break it loose. I'm gonna get in here and give it a couple of more turns. Took quite a bit of pressure. And again, I'm gonna have to put the camera down, guys. I apologize, but you see what it is I'm doing. You guys get the idea. We'll be right back. Alright, that one right there is the other one I wanted to loosen up. It was actually spreading the box end of the wrench. I could feel it starting to slip. So that is way more than 15 foot-pounds, guys. You know, 11 years, 58,000 miles worth of heating and cooling and, you know, heat cycles like that. That sucker's on there. So we might even have to put the little baby Milwaukee impact on that thing once we get them all out and swap the sprockets. Alright, so screw that. We're skipping the loosening thing. We got one of them loose. Remove timing chain tensioner. Alright, so here we go. Of course, they made this super tight as well. What we're going to do is we're going to just briefly reattach the timing cover with the center bolt. Yeah, and that'll just kind of keep this out of the way. So, now we can see her. See if I can stick the camera in there. There it is. It's 2 hex head bolts. I believe it's a 5. If I had to guess, it's going to be a 5. I have just enough room to get a frickin' Allen wrench in there. Can't even get a socket set up in there, guys, so it's going to have to be done by hand. Get that sucker out. Alright, there's one. These suckers are pretty tight too. Oh! Super tight. It's crazy, but I actually used about a 24-inch long PVC pipe just now to break that. That thing was way more than whatever that torque spec is, and it's not much. Okay, there she is. Now we also have a replacement gasket that's going to go with this. This gasket here we're going to throw away. Alright, so now we remove the cam caps, and it says to go from the outside in stages, right? That's so you don't overstress the metal that is the cams, right? The camshafts can get overstressed because they need to be evenly bound, and so you gently, we're going to go that corner, that corner, that corner, that corner, you know what I mean? And then do the same thing on the inside until all the caps are loosened up and removed. Alright, there you see our exhaust cam. All the caps are loosened. Every one of them can just pull right out right now. So that's what we're going to do now. And we will set her all up on the table and have a look. Now it is imperative that you keep everything in the order that you removed it. Even these arrows are important. These arrows point towards the cam gears. See that E? That's for exhaust 2. So there is a little bit of foolproofing, folks. However, remember, these metal bits are married. They're all married over time. And even the manual tells you, be sure that you put them all back exactly where they were. It's crazy, I had to set the camera down so I could use both hands to break this sucker free. 11 years of heat marrying, you know? Keep them in order. Exhaust 2, exhaust 1. Alright, there she comes. There she comes. There you go. Alright, we're going to go ahead and pull the cam out. Just like that, folks. Exhaust cam is out. Got a little bit of wear. Nothing on the actual lobes, but just where they ride in the journals looks like. No. High mileage, folks. Alright. Anyways, on to the intake cam. And here comes the intake cam. There you go. We need to reference specifically which lifters need to come out. We're going to organize those. Remember, this is more marrying of metal, okay? These things have to go back exactly where they came out of. So the way we're going to take, or the way we're going to keep track of this and have them organized is an egg crate. Easy peasy. All right. So we got to start with the very first one on the exhaust side. That booger right there is going to come out. Here's our valve lapping tool. We're only using it to retrieve the lifters. You actually use this thing, you hold it like you're with two hands, like you're rubbing a fire together, and that's to hone where your valves seat if you're doing a full engine rebuild and reseating valves. However, we're just going to use the suction cup feature of it to pull these things off. And like I said in the beginning, guys, this is what's spec'd in the book. That's what that is right there, valve lapper. There's your Yamaha part number. Interestingly enough, straight away, what I'm noticing is we're not going to be able to approach this thing straight up and down to get a suction. Yeah, so that was very quickly determined not to work. Unless they make a little tiny valve lapper that'll go in this gap right here, that's not going to work. But check out the magnet, how effective this is. Look at that. See it moving up and down? Now I'm gonna have to do this with two hands because I don't want to risk dropping anything. So again, be right back. Okay guys, here's the first factory shim. Alright, now there is a number etched on this shim inside there that is facing the bottom of the lifter, and so we have to get the shim out of there and inspect what that number is, and we'll use that number in the formula that is in the service manual in order to calculate our final value of shim size. And then we'll take that new value that we figure out with that formula, and we'll pull a new shim from our shim kit and we'll stick it back in here. And you see how it just sits in a little recession in there. See that? It just rides right in there. So let us flip it over. It's a 190. That means it's a 1.90 millimeter. Okay, so let's keep our stuff organized. There it is. We'll just drop it back in there. See here, 0.229. It's a little tight, right? It's slightly out of spec. If you round that 9 up, it's 0.23, which is right at the bottom of spec. However, you see in parentheses there, 0.27 millimeters. That is the midway point. That's our target. So we want to subtract according to the book. It's all right here, guys. You take your clearance, which in the example here is 0.25. Our example is 0.229. So you take 0.229. You're going to subtract the specified clearance, which here they use the very top of the range. We're not doing that. We're shooting for the middle. So it's going to be 0.229 minus 0.27, and it's going to give us a negative number. The reason why it gives us a negative number is because it's too tight. It means we have to go a shim size smaller. We will utilize the rounding table because it's going to be rounded to 3 numbers, to the thousandths is what it is. So that's what we have to determine now. But since we do have an egg crate method going here, we'll go ahead and just pull them all out before we start doing our final calculations. All right. This one, 1.89. Our third of 7, 190. Fifth of 7 total, 186. Alright, so again, now we have to record these things. We'll go inside and work out the math. Get some AC, man. It is hot out here. Our first one is 190. Our second one, 189. Our third, 190. That fourth one there is 190. And that last one, 186. Alright, let's go figure out what shims we gotta go with. Alright, so I got the first one done. Here's the method behind the madness, folks. 0.229 minus 0.27, which is our midway target, yields a negative 0.041, which indicates we have to go smaller. So we take our 190, which is the factory pad or the factory shim, and we subtract 0.041 from that. We get 1.859. Now the thing about it is we are dealing with hundredths, right? We're not dealing with thousandths, so we're going to round that. 1.86. Go to our chart. If the last digit is a 6, the rounded value is a 5. So we go to the 5 the 5, 185. And that 185 puts us right where we want to be, man. A smidge, just a smidge. What is that, 5/1000ths of a smidge difference there. So that actually makes it smaller, which is what we want. That will widen the gap. Alright, and so here are all our new shim sizes for the exhaust side. Step down from a 190 to 185, from a 189 to 180, from a 190 to 185, from a 190 to 185, and from a 186 to a 180. There you go. Now we got to go out there and pop the new shims, those sizes. Got to pop those onto the top of the tappets in the engine, and then we can pop the lifters back on there. Ooh, we love stickers. All right, 185. 1.85. By the way, when this thing came in the mail, all of these were scattered all over, mixed up. I had to sit there for 20 minutes and put them all back where they were supposed to go. Now we gotta carefully go in there and put this sucker in that little hole. Oh, and by the way, one important thing not to forget, you see here it tells you to lubricate your valve pad, that's the shim, with molybdenum disulfide grease, and to lubricate your valve lifter, or the bucket, with molybdenum disulfide oil. I did a little bit of research on this stuff, and basically what both those things are is frickin' assembly lube. So, yeah, assembly lube. Just put a big old dot of it on there. And don't need that one anymore. Put a big old dot of it in there, right where it's going to seat. And let's go put it in. Right back where it came from. Voila. Next one. Yeah, 180. That assembly lube, it's literally like blood, y'all. It's crazy. A little sticky too. Now, what did I say? 180? Yeah, 180. Next one. 185. And so this is all there is to it, guys. It's just time consuming. You gotta follow the instructions very carefully. Take your time. Back to your home. And that fourth one is another 185. That's going to be our last 185, guys. So we may have to improvise, but maybe not. One more. 180. That one's printed very well. And just like that, the exhaust side is done, guys. Now for intake, we only have 2 of them to figure out, and it looks like we're going to be going with bigger shims. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, if it so happens that we would need another 185, you see we've used all 3 that came in the kit. All 3 are gone. However, you always have to take into account the shims you took out, right? What did you take out? Well, lo and behold, a 186. That would be perfect, man. 1/1000th off. That would work, right? So if we need another 185, we'll use a 186. So we'll take that 186. As a matter of fact, we'll clean it off real fast. And we're going to treat it as though it's a 185. I guess for later, for who knows? You never know. Boop. Alright, so on the intake side, we got to go to the cylinder 3, the valve on the left. This guy. Yeah, you know, when it comes to the whole valve lapping tool, dude, the magnet works so freaking well. Why would you even want to bother with an unreliable suction cup? Yeah, well. A 199. So what I'm going to do with that 1.99 is I'm going to put it in the 2.0 slot. Know what I mean? $199. Alright, and with our 2 valves that are out of spec on the intake side, the difference is that these were all steps down. These 2 will be steps up. So the difference between our measured clearance and our target mid-range spec of 0.17 was a positive 0.033. So we take our 2.01, right, because of the 201, plus 0.033 equals 2.043. That 3 rounds the 4 down to this, just to a 4. It doesn't change, so it's 2.04. Ends in a 4, round to the 5. So it'll be a 2.05 or a 205 shim. And our other one is going to be 1.99 plus 0.033 equals, we're going to go up to a 200. 2, round 0, step up to 200, or 2.00 millimeters. Alright, that's it, man. Intake side needs a 205 and a 200. Bam! Easy peasy. Alright, so we're going to step up to a 205, which is going to tighten it up a bit. Remember, the objective here was to loosen them up. This is going to tighten them up. So we're going to 205. Stepping up to 200. And with this final lifter going in, that's it, guys. Our valves are adjusted.